Hi, I'm Charles Edel, the Australia Chair here at CSIS, and I'm thrilled today to welcome to another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse Minister Chris Bowen, Australia's Minister for Climate Change and Energy. Welcome back to DC, Minister.
Great to be back, and great to be back with you here.
Oh, thanks very much. I know you were here a couple of years ago. We had you in for a speech, but what brings you to Washington on this particular trip?
Well, mainly Brazil, as G20 chair, has instituted a really good initiative of bringing climate and finance ministers together. So there's a big plenary session of climate ministers and finance ministers from the G20 tomorrow. But of course, I'm using the opportunity to catch up with friends like John Podesta and others while I'm here for a couple of days.
Terrific. Look, since you were last here, though, we know that there's been this big new movement across the Australian-American alliance. We talked when Prime Minister Albanese came here about now beyond defense, beyond trade, there's now a third pillar of the alliance for climate change, for critical minerals, and for clean energy. Can you tell us a little bit about both the inception of that, but really how that's going and what we are looking for in that?
So it's going very well. The inception was, the first meeting between Prime Minister Albanese and President Biden. I think it was a meeting of minds to say this alliance has stood the test of time, but the greatest challenge and opportunity for us both now is climate change, and we should make that the third pillar. It's mainly focused on things like supply chain. Secretary Granholm and I had a meeting under the pillar just a couple of weeks ago. We actually had it in Brazil, in which we agreed that Australia would join in and support some of the sunshot programs under her administration. And we're working together on things like grid stability, where we both have pretty large energy grids. We are the largest in the world, actually, in Australia. The United States has got a large energy grid as well. So there's a lot more to do and a lot more to colour in, but it's in good shape.
And if I can ask you, just because we ask everyone who comes here, and when you're not reading the briefing books, what are you reading on the plane?
So reading a great book, actually, called Presidents and the Planet, which is about the history of United States presidents with climate change. And most of us probably think that climate change really started as a policy initiative with James Hansen's evidence to the Senate in 1988. But actually, Jay Hakes is the author. He's gone back to the Eisenhower administration and found advice to President Eisenhower about climate change from the Scripps Institute. And he brings to life several scientists who were warning presidents, Eisenhower, on and how the presidents reacted, because they were writing on the briefing notes, etc., about climate change. It's a really great read. I'd recommend it.
Oh, that's fascinating. Thanks for the recommendation, and thanks so much for joining us here today. And please tune in for our next episode of Pacific Policy Pulse.